Good evening, Bucknutters. Welcome into What We Learned Live. Really late afternoon, Bucknutters. After Ohio State's 42-9 win over Rutgers. This was perfect for a lot of reasons for me. And I'm going to get to that with the three biggest things I learned. Welcome to the show. I am Dave Biddle. I really appreciate you guys joining me. Going to hear early in the show from Garrick Hodge. A little bit about recruiting. It's not a big recruiting weekend for the Buckeyes, but Garrick's going to give us the latest, what we need to know about recruiting, and then we'll get Garrick's thoughts on the game itself. We're going to hear from Dan Rubin after that. Matt Baxendell is going to join as well. And then after post-game interviews, we'll hear from Patrick Murphy from Ohio Stadium. Steve Hellwagon can't join the show today. So welcome in, my friends. 42-9. I loved it. What's the biggest thing I loved other than Ohio State getting the win? No injuries. Well, I mean, I know there's some guys got banged up. Like Luke Montgomery got a little banged up late. I think everybody's okay, but like nobody got carted off or anything. You could just see Ryan Day like, as soon as we know we have this win, it's Michigan week. And now it's Michigan week. And they were starting that clock pretty much at halftime, at least in the third quarter. So the Buckeyes, Rutgers held in there for a little bit. Give Schiano some credit and his guys, and then the Buckeyes just dominated from there. 42-9. So the biggest thing we learned, at least the biggest thing I learned, is like the Buckeyes get out of the 11th game of the season relatively injury-free. We'll see what happens. Now, do I know what's going on with Jeremiah and Carnell? Jeremiah, I think I do. I mean, he's definitely battling what I've heard is a quad injury. It might also be a lower back, might be both. I'll be shocked if he does not play next week. I don't know how close to 100% he'll be. I would bet anything he'll play next week. We'll see, though. Carnell, I don't know what's going on with Carnell. I don't know. I'm curious we'll hear from Patrick. What Coach Day says after interviews tonight. Not sure about that, but I tell you what, I'm glad Julian Sand didn't show any ill effects from getting a little banged up last week. So overall, I'm really happy with where the Buckeyes are injury-wise. And obviously the biggest story is how the wide receivers are doing. But we knew that going into the game. We're talking about what we learned during the game. To me, this was perfect. Perfect. Game ends. If you're Ryan Day, you probably wanted a running clock there in the second half. Big Ten said, no, we can't do that for you. All right, a couple other things we learned before we bring in Garrick Hodge. Caden Curry. Have a senior day, Caden Curry. He's had a tremendous senior year overall. Hasn't put up the stats the last few games after just going crazy, the first half of the regular season. What's he do today? 2 sacks, including a sack fumble. Almost was a touchdown. It was like that close to a defensive touchdown. Caden Curry going out like the boss he is. And I loved it like late in the fourth quarter when they, Rutgers got the ball back and they got like a first down. And then they got another first down and it looked like, okay, the starters are all resting. Caden Curry, I don't know if Matt Patricia called him in or, Larry Johnson, or if he just did it on his own. They weren't going to bring him back out his last game at Ohio Stadium. Caden Curry runs in there like, all right, let's take care of business from here. I love that. Caden Curry, super, super happy for him. This is a guy that it's not like he was like the number one D end in the country coming out of high school, but he was like a high 4-star recruit from Indiana. It came in and played right away as a true freshman at Ohio State in 2022. Then had to wait his turn the next year. And then last year on the national championship team, he played, but he was still a backup. How many guys would wait around that long? And look at him now. Not only did he win a national championship last year by waiting around, now he's a starter his senior year as a Buckeye. 9 sacks this year. 9 sacks, 9 times Ferris Bueller. He'll be first team All Big Ten for sure. So that's awesome for Caden Curry. How good does Bo Jackson look? Really freaking good. Really, really, really good. And now I just remembered I need to text Garrick give me just a second. I got to text Garrick the link. But yeah, I mean, Bo Jackson, love it. Entered play averaging 6.6 yards per carry. Was right around that again today. Pardon me just for a second. I want to make sure Garrick gets the link here. I forgot to, I emailed it to him, but I did not. Here, give me just a second here. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, Max Clare, Max Clare. I thought coming into the game, Brandon Ennis, Max Clare, Mylan Graham, Bryson Rogers. I don't know. I mean, Bryson Rogers didn't really do anything. Mylan Graham didn't really do anything. Brandon Ennis has been banged up all year, but just like toughs his way through it. Here we go. Let me get Garrick the link here. So not only do you have the top 2 wide receivers out, also Brandon Ennis is banged up. Jeez, I don't know. Here, let me get Garrick there we go. Bam. No, there's no excuse why you can't join. Paste. Boom. All right, so we'll hear from Garrick soon. So, yeah, good to see Max Clare ball out, though. No surprise, but that was his career game as a Buckeye. Hopefully everybody's okay next week. Again, I have no idea what's going on with Carnell Tate. I know the rumors that are flying around. I can't confirm or deny those. And I don't mean I'm not trying to be a smart aleck when I say can't confirm or deny. I really have no idea. Seriously, I have absolutely no idea. I do have an idea that we're going to bring in Garrick Hodge right now. Now, my biggest question, Mr. Hodge, thank you for joining, was, were you going to join anyway right now, or are you waiting for the text?
I think I just was pulling up my email, and right as I saw that, your text came across my phone, so it was a perfect storm.
I meant to text you, then I was like, I was hoping, I was like, Garrick probably should be on by now. I was like, oh, I didn't text him. I just emailed him. All right, we're going to get to your thoughts on the game in a moment. Recruiting, I know it's not a big recruiting weekend, Garrick, but it's also the last home game of the season for the Buckeyes. What do we need to know about recruiting? What do the fans need to know? And it doesn't have to necessarily be guys that were there today.
Yeah. In terms of the game itself, for recruiting weekend, pretty small crowd, really. There were a couple highlight visitors, a couple 2027 defensive linemen. Mekhi Brown, 6'7", guy Ohio State offered in September, got to campus for the first time. Really lives up to all the measurables. We'll have to see how that visit turns out and how the relationship continues moving forward. Then DJ Jacobs, the number 1 prospect in the entire 2027 class. He also visited Columbus for the first time. It was a little late arriving today, but he and his family did make it. Seemed like they enjoyed themselves on their way up following the victory. And those are really the 2 guys that I'm focused on in terms of a recruiting aspect for today.
Anything else before we move on to the game itself? Anything else about recruiting that we need to know?
Honestly, everybody was having fun today. 2026 in-state commits and a couple others were all here today. A few were on their official visits, and they're mainly doing that for their due diligence to get their photo shoots done for National Signing Day. So they're ramping up for that in a few weeks to roll out the red carpet, and all the photo and video team of Ohio State's going to be busy the next couple of weeks getting that rolled out. But yeah, in terms of recruiting, it was a pretty ho-hum day for Ohio State.
I thought this was a really good win for the Buckeyes, 42-9. It looked like obviously they didn't start off fast, but 42-9. And the biggest thing was they were able to rest all of their main guys. No main injuries as far as I could tell. I think Luke Montgomery got a little banged up, but what did you see? Any injuries that you noticed? And just your thoughts on this game overall, Garrick?
Yeah, I said that you hope for 2 things, right? Number 1, you hope to get the win, and that was easily attained. And then number 2, you hope that you come out of it healthy. And for the most part, seems so far so good, right? Obviously, Lorenzo Styles had that injury there in the first half, and we'll have to see if that impacts him at all next week. But I didn't see anything else in terms of injuries. Hopefully, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate will be full strength next week. You'll just have to take Ryan Day's word for it that hopefully that they're preparing them to be full strength against Michigan. And honestly, Dave, it's Michigan week already now that this game's done, and I'm pretty excited to get right into it next week.
I'm very curious what Ryan Day is going to say in the post-game presser. Before I let you go, by the way, we do our staff roundtable. I don't know if you saw Dan Rubin's text yet.
Yeah, 42-9 on the dot.
Our consensus pick, all of our picks combined, if you average them together, we picked Ohio State 42, Rutgers 9.
Not bad.
Now, was that assisted by my 42-7 pick? Obviously.
I don't even remember what I had. I think I had 42-7. 42-7, I think, is what I had.
42. So I did as well. I had 42-7. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. We're cooking with gas.
Heck yeah, and we're not burning it. All right, good stuff, man. Okay, Oregon or USC? What do you got?
Oh, tough one. I'll go with Oregon.
Point spread too?
What is the point spread of that game?
Up to 10.5 now, Oregon.
Oh, okay. Ooh, if that's the case, I'm going with USC in the points. But
Okay.
If you're talking about an outright victor, I got to go Oregon. I can't pick Lincoln Riley in a big game when you have to just, quite frankly, be tough. So I'm rolling with Oregon.
All right. Get to interviews and enjoy the we can't say what, but enjoy the festivities up at the press box afterwards, my friend.
Yeah, I certainly will. I don't think I can report back, but it should be fun.
Good. If you don't report back, that means like everything's going like especially well. Thank you, Garrick Hodge.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate you, man. Garrick has been just a tremendous addition to our site. Absolutely tremendous. We obviously miss Bill Kurlick. It's not like it's just a 1-for-1, but man, Garrick has just been a great ad. Good guy. I'm still laughing at Dan's text. We're going to hear from Dan Rubin later. We're going to hear from Matt Baxendell. Then after postgame interviews, we'll hear from Patrick Murphy. Yeah, so our Bucknuts staff consensus pick was Ohio State 42, Rutgers 9. See, even a blind squirrel gets a nut. Even a blind buck nut gets a nut. But yeah, I'm really happy for Caden Curry. Bo Jackson looks great to me. I mean, I know he had the fumble. I know. Other than that, I know. But seriously, man, this guy is legit. He came in averaging 6.6 yards per carry on the season. Another great game for him. 19 carries, 110 yards. And it's not just like he's just running through gaping holes. Sometimes he is. I thought the offensive line played well overall. But man, even if it's like, looks like 3 yards there, he'll turn it into 7 yards. There was one of those where he got that first down by 3 yards, where it looked like he was going to be maybe a yard short. Maybe he would get the first down, and then it also helped the offensive line was pushing him. He keeps his legs churning and gets up by 3 yards. Again, it looked like it was going to be maybe a yard short of the first down. He gets it by 3 yards. That's Bo Jackson, and it's not just he's like, oh, he can get the tough yards. Yeah, he also can hit the home run. So love that guy. And it's not like you have to rely. It's not like Bo Jackson has to be like the superstar for this team. Like, we were wondering who's going to be the main running back. Is it going to be James Peoples, CJ Donaldson? Could one of the true freshmen get in the mix? I thought it would be James Peoples, and it's Bo Jackson. And speaking of J. Peeps, how about him? Again, looking good out there. Yeah, was it late? Was the defense probably worn down? And I'm not sure if they did have their second team defense in, although I think they still had their first team in. They certainly still had their first team offense in until very, very late. I would have done the same thing if I'm Rutgers. You're playing the number one team in the nation. The Buckeyes second teamers would start for you. You're like, yeah, I'm not putting like our second teamers that wouldn't even make the club team at Ohio State in there. Yeah, I mean, just impressive all over. Isaiah West looks good. Obviously, CJ Donaldson's still banged up. He barely played, but at least he played. Got a touchdown. CJ Donaldson now, and it was really cool. It happened on senior day too. CJ Donaldson now, 10th touchdown as a Buckeye, his one and only year as a Buckeye after transferring in from West Virginia, and his 40th touchdown in his career playing college football. 30 at West Virginia, 10 at Ohio State. That is 40 more rushing touchdowns than Bax and I have combined at the D1 level. Bax, that mustache is still looking strong. I like the Blue Jackets sweater. You're looking good, man. How you doing?
Oh, hanging in there, Dave. Another hockey weekend. So, of course, I'm wearing hockey gear today, but I got to watch the whole Buckeye game, so it was excellent.
That's good. So what are your main takeaways?
It's amazing how good you can be without the two best wide receivers in the country. Like, that's the big thing I think everybody has to look at here is OSU was like, shrug, let's just run for 300 yards. That was nice to see, wasn't it? Now, Rutgers is a very bad run defense, and it's not a great football team, but this is the sort of thing if you're Ohio State, you kind of needed a game where you had to lean on your running game. I mean, we haven't done that all year, right?
That's true. And I tell you what, man, that running game looked good. Max Clare looked good in the passing game. This is exactly what I wanted. They're not going to go out there and just go balls to the wall against Rutgers with Michigan, less than a week away. As soon as you kick that game off, Michigan's less than a week away. And I love that Michigan's not even kicking off here for another 20 minutes. Every little minute matters. I love this game, man. I mean, they win 42-9. Even if they came out of here 28-9, I wouldn't have been thrilled. 42-9 and no major injuries, no injuries at all, unless maybe Luke, and that would be big, but I think Luke's okay. man, I just wanted to see them get a big lead, get the guys out, and they did that. Check and check.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, hopefully Lorenzo Styles is okay. He kind of had what looked like
he did.
Shoulder.
Yeah, that doesn't look good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, you're right. They jumped out ahead on them early. If they hadn't fumbled that first ball, and they might have gotten Keenholz in even sooner. The reality is they didn't just win; they covered without their receivers. Like, that's kind of a big deal. So you got to kind of feel really good about that situation. I think from the Buckeyes' point of view here, we all knew this comes down to next week. Next week has been circled it is every year, but this year more than ever, right? Last season, Ohio State was a significant favorite in the game. They were the better football team, and they made some poor decisions that allowed Michigan to stay in the game. Ohio State this year, the last few weeks, has been like, we're going to beat these teams no matter what we do. We're better, right? We're going to throw to every tight end on the team and have our 4 running backs run the ball repeatedly in the football game, and we're going to beat these teams. So, I think today, everybody who ran the football other than Donaldson, who just had some short yardage, was averaging 6+ yards a carry. Those are how you shorten football games. Those are how you shorten your season. I mean, I think Ohio State today, total plays they ran on offense was only 52 plays, Dave. That's insane. And against them is only 45. Like, think about those numbers. That's insanely short of a football game.
And listen, we've been talking, and like myself included, about all the injuries for Ohio State's offense, which really are not that many. Like, especially when you compare them to any football team on planet Earth in late November, actually the offense is pretty damn healthy.
Yeah.
Backs, this defense. Not only are they fast and furious and talented and the best coach defense in the country, and they're just absolutely loaded. They're healthy as you could possibly be 11 games into the season. This Silver Bullet defense can you imagine being healthier than this? I know Lorenzo Styles Jr. got banged up, but tell you what, if that means Jermaine Matthews has to go to the slot and they put Devin Sanchez out on the outside. I mean, Michigan, I like their true freshman receiver, Marsh. Michigan does. Where's number 4? He's good. He's good, but they don't have anything that's going to really do that much damage. And the way Igbenogso's playing this year, I feel bad for Lowe Jr., if he's out, but if that's the only major injury on defense going into the Michigan game, this defense is locked and loaded and they're healthy.
There was a stat that I heard today on one of the broadcasts that said Ohio State's defense through 11 games is allowing 7.6 points per game. That is the second lowest through 11 football games since 1990. Only the Georgia team a couple years ago that won a national title, who was at 7.5 points per game, was better than this defense in points per game through 11 games. This defense right now can we go as far as saying this might be the best Buckeye defense we've seen?
Yeah, I was saying the same thing in 2019. I think this one might be better.
Mm-hmm. I think it might be.
And that had a really good defensive coordinator too, in Jeff Hafley, who's a really good defensive coordinator in the NFL right now. I read a story he could be getting head coaching offers. I know he was not a good head coach at Boston College, but not a hard program though. Ask Bill O'Brien, right? Right. So
hard program.
Yeah, man. I think this is right up there with 96 is going to be tough to beat, and maybe that's a little bit of I don't know, because that was the birth of the Silver Bullets. A little reminiscing there, 96 will always.
02 was an excellent defense too.
02, yeah, absolutely.
05 was another great D.
I would put this one right up there.
I'd throw this out here too, Dave, with this with this Buckeye football team that we've seen so far. We're talking about these historic defenses and everything, but you're going up against a Michigan team next week that is missing, in all likelihood, their top 2 running backs. They're going to have their third string tailback. They have a true freshman quarterback. They don't have much of a passing game.
You think Jordan Marshall's going to miss the game? I bet he'll play.
I bet he'll try to play, but it didn't look good, man.
Right.
He's not going to play today. We know that much for them.
Right. And I know they said X-rays came back negative, but you're right. His shoulder looks. Go ahead.
He was it's one of those where I don't know how as a running back you can get away with that. It just doesn't work. And even if he plays, he's going to be hurting, right? So it's a situation where Ohio State defensively is super good, and Michigan offensively kind of does just enough to get along with their defense getting them through. it's a tough football game for me if I was looking at it from a Michigan perspective, other than we have the swag of a couple wins in a row here now. You know, like if we were not in the middle of this rivalry situation from the outside, we would be looking at this like Ohio State should handle business in the football game. But because it's this rivalry, because of what's happened recently, you know, it's going to be a very nerve-wracking day, even if it doesn't look like it should be.
By the way, let's bring in Dan Rubin, publisher of one of my favorite sites of all time, Bucknuts. Okay, my favorite site of all time.
Yeah, I was going to say, come on, Dave.
You know, and definitely
been around a while.
Definitely the best publisher on planet Earth. So I was like getting a text from my guy Rubes, and he sent it to the group, and he was like, by the way, for our consensus picks, and I talked about this earlier in the show with Garrick, but I haven't said this to Bax or you, Dan. Well, Dan, you sent it out, and Dan sent it out. So our Bucknut staff consensus pick for this game was Ohio State 42, Rutgers 9. Pretty good.
Hitting our stride. End of the season.
About time.
Crazy with analytics and predicting and just all silliness. So, yeah, that was – I'm not sure if that's happened before. I don't think so. 42-9 is kind of a goofy score. So,
I said 10. That was my official pick, was 42-10.
I had 42-7.
No, and we met in the middle.
We were right. So we were helping that curve out. Steve,
you know what's crazy though? We all made those picks.
Steve Hellwagon picking 5-2 almost threw us off. He didn't do that.
Yeah, right.
He didn't do that.
We all made those picks before we knew for sure that both the Jeremiah and Tate were out, though. So it's, you know,
good. Although
little fortune goes our way.
We pretty much thought they'd be out. As I said in the analysis, it's really deep analysis. It's probably Pulitzer winning. As I said in my analysis of the availability report, the more surprising thing would have been if they played. I wasn't surprised they were out. Bax, do you want to help stay on for a couple minutes? Or you need to hop off.
Sure, I can stay on for a few more.
I just want to get just a couple, and then we'll hear more. I'll get you off and just hang with Dan. But I want to get Dan's thoughts on your mustache.
Oh,
That's a good mustache.
For the little behind the scenes here, when you sign on from this side, you're kind of in the paddock and you can see what's going on. So my initial alarm was not caught by the masses, but hey, dude, if you can pull it off,
it's Movember, baby.
You're like, who is that?
I don't. It's not a porn stash, so you're good. It's nice and thick. So, Dave's saying it's porn staff adjacent. So, hey,
you just have the mustache. I'm just like if you just have a mustache, I just feel like it's a porn stash. It's not technically, because I know it's got to be a little more thin, but like if you're just rocking a mustache, nothing else. Like that's kind of porn stashes, just natural.
Well, it is Movember, right? So you can do it during Movember, but I will say this fall, the blame for this falls entirely on my wife. I just wanted to let you know this because I said,
"Don't shave now."
Sideburns or mustache, and she picked the mustache, and I'm like, really? All right, well, I guess we'll do this. Never grown one in my life. Turns out it came in really well, and I'm going to tell you right now, all my kids' sporting teams have done really well since I grew this, and the Buckeyes are doing really well. So this is staying on for the Michigan game. And if it goes well, it may have to stay through the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Once they win next week, you're going to keep it on. There's no doubt about it. I want to hear Dan's biggest takeaway from the game, and then I want to Bax to say why he's wrong. No, you don't have to say why he's wrong. Dan, what's your biggest takeaway from the game, or takeaways, plural?
Yeah, I took copious notes for about the first quarter, and then I dozed off. That's not true. I did have dual action going as NYU played their fourth game of the year. Game high 20 for the winners, for the eldest. Anyway, box check. That's what I would say. Unfortunately, it looks like there may have been an injury, which would be the noticeable or the noteworthy unfortunate occurrence. But aside from that, box check. I wrote down some things. Caden Curry continues to be a revelation. I think when all is said and done, and the history books are written on these teams, the fact, and I've said it a lot, the fact that Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry are the starting defensive ends on this team is the best sign of what the culture is and the program has done to this point, because you just should not have them. And even to that end, Curry has even exceeded my wildest expectations of how he'd be this year. He's literally been a borderline All-American defensive end and super productive. Tywan Malone, I almost was ready to quit on that guy.
I was too.
He's
Me
played
three.
great. I have nothing to say to that. One of the things I wrote down, Sand throws handoffs.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
That one to
incredible.
Ennis, and good. That was a good catch by Ennis too. That one, I was
dude,
like,
that was
no
a
way
dime.
that was complete, right? Like,
That is an NFL dime.
unbelievable.
I
Most
actually
NFL
wrote it.
quarterbacks couldn't even make that throw.
I jotted that down on a little out pattern to Max Clare, though, because even the little simple plays where they say, "Oh, hit it so he can keep running," it's right there, man. It's just we take it for
His
granted,
accuracy
so.
is special, guys. I don't know if we've ever seen a Buckeye quarterback this accurate. Look, we've had a lot of
Buckeye
great
quarterback?
quarterbacks, but not with this kind of accuracy.
Which is crazy because I didn't think we'd ever see one. I know I'm repeating myself from many Bucknuts Morning Fives and probably What We Learned Lives, but like I didn't think we'd see one more than accurate than Dwayne Haskins. Then I didn't think we'd see an Ohio State quarterback that was more accurate than CJ Stroud. And Julian Sands is the most accurate quarterback I've ever seen, period, including the NFL. Including the NFL. It's insane, my friends.
He leads the college football in accuracy percentage by a large number. When I look at
like
rankings,
5%.
Yeah,
it's
but
insane.
I'm saying, look at the gap between 2 and 3. It's like point something. So he's a pattern outlier. And these are his first starts. Everyone below there has a kid. You know what I'm saying? They're like in their mid-20s. This is just so it's incredible. I can't.
Shout out Diego Pavia.
Yeah. I mean, it's really impressive. It's really impressive. I will say if I had one concern, it may be that, and I've said this, Bo Jackson was never the main guy in his high school football team running the ball in terms of like, a guy who'll get 30, 40 times a game. That carry that fumble was a fatigue fumble, in my opinion. End of a long drive when you got it a bunch of times, you get hit by some friendly fire and you pop out. So is it an issue? I don't think so. But something to look at. I wouldn't mind. I mean, not next week. I guess too late now. You got to just ride him out. But I'm not worried. Overall box check.
Trojans with the score on their opening drive.
That'll be interesting if USC comes down because there's 2 wild cards in the Big Ten right now for the playoffs. We play potentially one of them next week, and this is the other one. If SC goes into the top 10, if they win this game, they're probably a playoff team, right?
I think so for sure. Like if because they'll assuming they beat UCLA next week, and anything can happen in a rivalry, especially crosstown, whatever. If they win this game, USC, and they beat UCLA, I think USC at 10-2 is a lock for the CFP. They'll probably have to play on the road, but I think they're a lock. Let me ask you guys this. If you agree with that, then what happens to 10-2 Oregon? Because they would not have any quality wins. They would have 0 wins over a top 25 team.
It'll be really interesting, Dave, because you're going to have a lot of 2-loss teams that are floating out there. I would take Oregon over a non-ACC champion Miami. I think they're better, but Miami has a better win.
Getting one regardless. Yeah.
Yep. But then you have Notre Dame, who doesn't really have a good win except for USC. So if USC makes the playoffs, Notre Dame has to make the playoffs.
They'll make it if they win out. Yep.
At which point does that domino effect of Miami saying we have the same record and we beat them it doesn't matter what point in the season we beat them, have to factor in. So it gets real interesting what happens to Oregon because Oregon starts getting pushed down that chart pretty consistently here. And the other wild card is, you've got a team like Georgia, right? Who's going to make the SEC championship game at this point? There's so many tiebreakers, right? And like, what happens if something weird happens, or what happens if Ole Miss wins the Egg Bowl and Lane Kiffin leaves? Do you still take Ole Miss with an interim coach? These are all questions that we'd have to know.
I would, but like, I want to get back to the Oregon thing fascinating because I just felt like for a while, Dan Rubin, like I was like, well, if Oregon finishes, even if they lose another 10-2, Oregon's in. Then you look at it, well, if 10-2 USC is in with a win over Oregon, which I think they would be for sure, and then Alabama's going to be right there. Like you're going to have Alabama and Oregon very much on the bubble if Oregon loses this game. 10-2 Oregon, that resume is tough to really argue.
So you're saying 10-2 Oregon. What would Alabama's record be in that case?
Still 10-2. But they would have a really good win over Georgia. But they'll get in. Everybody glosses over the fact that people act like Alabama lost to Florida State in like a spring game or something. That was a regular season game. We can't say as college football fans and media, every game matters. That's what makes college football great, and then act like week 1 doesn't matter. And it wasn't a last-second field goal. They lost by 14 points to a bad Florida State team. But it's still going to be like, well, who did Oregon beat? Oh, they beat Penn State. Yeah, well, at the time that looked good, but now you're looking at it, they're going to have 0 wins over a top 25. It's just going to be funny, guys, if it comes down to like Oregon or Alabama, because they're going to have 2 teams that make the playoffs that absolutely shouldn't. Whoever wins the ACC and whoever is the group of 5.
Yep.
So it's really going to have 10 teams, and Oregon and Alabama are probably going to be fighting for that. Now, if Oregon wins tonight, they're fine, but USC's already up on them.
Let's say if USC wins, this is the scenario we're talking. But
if USC wins, yes.
What happens at that point where Oklahoma's in, Alabama's in, Texas A&M is in, and Georgia's already in, right?
And Ole Miss, and Ole Miss. They're going to have 5. They'll have 5. Yep.
So that my point though then is you have 3 Big Tens, and you have the other ones who are the three bids. You leave 1 spot left. The Big Ten will throw a fit if the SEC gets 6 teams and we get 3. At that point, you have to think Oregon edges them out purely for the conference balance.
Notre Dame would get in too, though.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame.
Maybe another one. You can see where it's 5 SEC, 3 Big Ten,
Notre Dame, ACC,
Notre Dame.
12,
right. I think that's what I would bet right now. If I would have to bet like Dan Rubin's house, I would bet 5. Dan's like,
we're betting Dan Rubin's house.
You better be right. Just say whatever you're going to say is important. You better be right.
If I had to bet Max's house, I would bet like
you don't want to bet my house.
SEC teams will make it. If I had to bet my house, 5 SEC, 3 Big Ten, Notre Dame, ACC, Big 12, group of 5. Those would be your 12.
I would agree, but
Alabama would be 10-2 and they're not in the title game of the SEC.
Actually, it depends on what happens, but they could be. They actually, I think.
They have like 5 teams tied right now, guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think they'll be in if they beat Auburn, but I'm not sure about that. They would at least be like, I don't know if they would clinch it. Producer,
Georgia 7-1.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna have our producer look that up.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because
Alabama clinch.
When there's a 10-2,
there's also that vibe on not punishing people for going to the championship game, and Oregon's not going. Yeah, and you're right. Oregon really won't have a quality win. So even though they probably ended Penn State's program, that win is not being viewed with any ilk, even though at the time we kind of boosted them up for it. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you to Google Gemini, one of my good friends on the AI front. I thought AI was Allen Iverson. Now, guys, artificial intelligence, breaking news. No. A win over Auburn will not guarantee Alabama clinching a spot in the SEC championship, as tiebreaker scenarios are still in play, according to Fox Sports and CBS Sports. While it's most likely they would make it, though.
Yeah, so they are likely to play Aggie if they win out, is what it looks like. So they have head-to-head wins over the other ones that matter at that point. So, yeah, that makes it interesting. But
there's a lot of variables left. I don't know if you can really, if you start talking about, you can get your mind in circles here, because then you're going to have in the factor, like I said, of who loses in the championship game. You know what I'm saying? So what if Alabama goes to the championship game? Who is? It's not Georgia who's in it, right?
It would be Texas A&M.
So yeah. What if they go? What if they go to the? What if Alabama goes to the? I'm closing my eyes because I need to think hard. Alabama goes to the SEC championship game, loses in a close game to Texas A&M. It's their 3rd loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't get in over Oregon?
That's what I'm asking. I don't know.
You're going to punish Alabama for getting the title game and losing to a higher-ranked team
if they're right. I know. I hear you. I think Alabama would get in that because it wouldn't matter, right? I mean, it would definitely matter, like, the ranking going into that game. Like, if Alabama was already ahead of Oregon, to your point, Dan, that's a very salient point. If Alabama would already be ahead of Oregon going into that game and Alabama lost, unless it was like 59-0, high Wisconsin, yeah, you wouldn't then punish Alabama for getting to the SEC championship game. So they would be in over Oregon. It just fascinates me. I just thought Oregon was a lock. And then I thought about it like a lot this week. I'm like, if they lose to USC, I think USC's a lock, and Oregon at 10-2, they might be Citrus Bowl bound.
Oregon's had a
Oregon
similar
also
season.
just scored, guys, so it's 7-7.
There you go.
Yeah, I see that. But Oregon's had a similar season.
Win this game, yeah.
Like Indiana last year, though. Oregon, different jersey. You know what I'm saying? So I think we have a little more respect for Oregon off the jump. But that's kind of like what happened with Indiana last year. The two tough games, the tough games they played, they lost.
But they only had one loss in the regular season.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's the thing. Like Oregon, I know Indiana didn't have any quality wins, to your point. Oregon would have no quality wins and 2 losses in a year where it's really tight there at the back. It's going to be fascinating. Like it's hopefully, it's good to be king, still basking. It's going to be fascinating if Ohio State's just sitting there, nothing to worry about. We can just sit there and like kind of just sit back and just kick our legs and be like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen if Oregon or Alabama is going to miss it at 10-2 or 11-2. Back to you to jump off. I want to hang out with Rubes a little bit.
All righty, guys. I got
more
youth hockey to run to, but the bucket will be ready to talk about beat Michigan tomorrow.
Yeah, buddy. Go Jackets.
Go.
And go Bucks. Of course, go Bucks. Yeah, man. So, like, I led the show off, Dan, like the 3 biggest things, like getting out of this game with no major injuries, no injuries that I'm aware of. Maybe Luke, huge. And resting Julian, I was a little I didn't really talk about this week. I was a little concerned about Julian. It's the first time we've seen him a little gimpy last week.
Yeah.
He looks fine. It was awesome seeing Max Clare ball out. I'm really happy for Caden Curry. What a senior day for him. Bo Jackson looks great. I know I just threw like 5 things at you, not 3, but like those are a few of my favorite things, Dan.
I thought it was great in terms of, look, we have a tendency to turn the ball over when you can smell the goal line. I don't know, maybe that's just my homerism coming through, but I just feel like it's been a trend at times, and that tends to have an effect on the score. I don't have any idea why Shiano went for it early like that. As I told you, I texted you. I think Shiano has the over.
We were texting each other about that.
What are you doing, dude? That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Dan Campbell thought that was ridiculous.
Right, that's what you said. I was like, just go. If you're going to go for it, just get up there and go for it. Like, don't give the best defense in the country time to like play exactly what they want to do, who they want on the field. Like, if you're going to go for it, I was like, oh, they're not going for it. He called timeout. They're going to try to get Ohio State to jump off sides and then punt. Or they're going to try to run at Caden McDonald and get stuffed. I don't know.
As I say, if you run a short yardage play and see 98 in there, call timeout. It's not just that it's a bad decision. We might be the best short yardage defense that I've ever seen. Like the thing about they had run a 3rd and 1. And going into that game, they're like, all right, short yardage, we got to get 98 blocked. And he shed 2 dudes and made the play. And they're like, you know what? Let's do it again. No, bad call. That was kitchen sink, not working well for them. Otherwise, I felt bad for Davison Igbinosun on his interception. He played it perfectly, and his mom has a souvenir, or someone does, that doesn't really count.
I know. That's the worst part is he went up and gave it to his mom only to see.
You can work with that. It's like when you're doing a highlight film from your kid, he makes a really nice pass for an assist. You just stop it right before the ball doesn't go into the basket when the guy misses it. They can just cut that up for the mom and show him giving it emotional, and it was good. I hate the call. I don't understand pass interference, clearly. If anyone does, they can explain it to me. Jermaine Matthews got a little grabby today, and then he got punished for it. So I think in general, it was a very solid win that kind of ended the way we expected. Look who it is.
Bring Patrick Murphy to the show.
Hey,
Patrick
guys.
making his walk from post-game interviews to the press box where there is a absolute soiree that's going to be going on up there.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how crazy it gets.
Listen, everybody, your cell phones will be collected at the door. It'll be that kind of a party. All right. What did Coach Day say about the injuries, the absences?
Specifically, Jeremiah and Carnell, it was day-to-day, working hard to get back for next week.
Heard that before.
Yeah, right. So not a ton there. He wasn't really asked. He was not asked about Lorenzo. I was going to ask that with the last question, but they took the microphone away very quickly because they wanted to get up to the soiree, I guess. Yeah, it sounds like they're both here. They were both walking around pregame. It didn't look like either was moving too gingerly necessarily. Now, they weren't doing a ton, but I think, I don't know, I would say optimism is there that at least one, if not both, are back next week.
What about anybody else? I think the best thing about today, in addition to winning 42-9 in the game, Ohio State just wanted to let's have a running clock if possible. I'm sure is what Ohio State's coaches were thinking. To get out of this game injury-free is huge. But did they get out injury-free? I know Luke Montgomery got a little banged up. He looked okay, though. What did Coach say about any other injuries? What are you hearing about any other injuries?
Yeah, I think they're as close to being healthy as they can be, given what they had coming in. Lorenzo, it looked like he landed on that shoulder again, which kept him out earlier this season, which is obviously unfortunate. You want to have him available going forward. Fortunately,
there you go. As soon as you go on, I knew as soon as
concrete.
Go back on the field. Oh, we can see you.
We got to connect to the Wi-Fi
here. Go in there.
Yeah, it's a bit. The Wi-Fi may go in and out here, but yeah, I think they're about as healthy as they can be, all things considered.
Yes. Anything else we need to know from post-game interviews?
Coach Day was proud of what they did in the run game, given what what they were dealing with. I do think Rutgers was able to stack the box a little bit more, given you didn't have to worry about the guys on the outside. So, he brought up the run game a couple of times. I asked about the defense, being able to just rely on a defense like that to, kind of carry the game basically for the early portion, especially after that fumble. I mean, think about this. If they don't fumble that ball, this score's even more lopsided, right? So, I don't know. It was a weird game. I think Ryan Day will be asked on Tuesday, I guess is when we're doing it, about some of the decisions, like why you're rotating quarterbacks in the middle of the third quarter. But it was a quick
EMF. That's why. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe. That was just a weird decision. Not playing Mylan Graham. He was asked about Mylan. He said, basically he's still coming on and just needs to keep doing the right things. So I don't know if Mylan played in the second half, so clearly he was available. I guess read into that as you will. But yeah, it was a short press conference. Jerry led it because it was his last one. So we did not have a ton of time there. And they also talked. I didn't hear Caden Curry, but he spoke as well. I don't know if they showed this on TV, but Carson Hinsman dyed his hair, bleached his hair. Okay. He said he said it was a bet with Austin Sareveld, I think, or Luke Montgomery.
He lost.
You don't want to lose a bet to Austin Sareveld.
I was saying, you sure he lost?
Austin will break your head in half. By the way, Carson Hinsman is coming back next year. Is this correct?
He has not said that.
Well, he didn't walk today, though.
He did not, but he was asked about it on Wednesday and said he has not made up his mind. He mentioned the centers that are coming up in the NFL draft are going to be going out. So I would assume he's coming back, but I've been wrong in making that type of assumption before.
And Kenyatta Jackson Jr. as well. No, I'll let you get up to the massive party in the press box. And Kenyatta
I think
Jackson
you're overselling it.
Go ahead.
I said I think you're overselling this party. I think it's going to be a cheers.
FOMO.
That's a good job out of you to undersell it. I know what goes on at those parties. Asian Pastorine knows what's going on too.
Oh,
Kenyatta Jackson Jr. I thought he'd probably go pro. He didn't walk either. Again, that doesn't mean 100% he's coming back, but sounds like he probably will.
Oh, yeah. That would be a coup. That would be an enormously big deal. I'm not even kidding.
Coups.
I think when we get asked about them not spending money on guys on the recruiting trail, remember they have to pay guys like those guys to come back. So keep that in mind when people get angry if they miss on a high school kid that, hey, it means you get Kenyatta Jackson back potentially.
There you go. All right, get up there and have fun. Keep Steve Hellwagon out of trouble.
I don't even know where Steve is. He may already be. He may
Find the
already be up
keg.
there.
Jeez. Bungee
Find the
cord.
keg. He's usually near the keg.
That's true.
People don't even really know about the bungee from the press box. That is wild. All right, have fun. Stay out of trouble.
All right. I'll talk to you guys
All
later.
right. All right. The zip line too is pretty cool. So yeah, it's good to be king. By the way, it looks like speaking of not being king, Michigan is down 7-0
I'm not
at
going to get
Maryland.
I feel like every time I look at a score this year and a team that I want to lose is behind, right when I start paying attention, they set up for the game-winning field goal. Have you seen that happen? Like Iowa,
Yes.
Oregon, and then there was the Northwestern Michigan game. I'm like, you know what? I'm not investing any mental energy in this. I will, however, laugh hysterically if it does take place.
There was a Michigan game earlier in the year, like when they still had Justice Haynes, obviously. And I turned it on and like they were struggling. I can't remember which game it was. And it was like the first time I turned the TV on, it was like Justice Haynes, 85-yard touchdown. I'm like, well, geez, like maybe I shouldn't be watching this. And this is the thing, like what I'll say to Buckeye fans, does it suck that certain, maybe Carnell's not going to play next week, or if he does, he's going to be like gimpy. Yeah, that sucks. Jeremiah, I think will definitely play next week. He's a little gimpy. Yeah, that sucks. I still think overall Ohio State is very healthy for a football team. And now you look at Michigan, Justice Haynes out for the year. Jordan Marshall, I bet he'll play, Dan, but like he's definitely banged up. So every football team is banged up right now. I think Ohio State is less banged up by far than your average college football team at this point.
This game gets scrutinized tremendously. I would like to see snap counts going to this game for all the players. I'll bet you Ohio State snap counts for their main guys are really, really low relative to their opposition. Now, Michigan's had a bunch of injuries and I'm playing some young guys. So say snap counts by the players intended to get the snaps originally. But they have not suffered very major injuries. And that's why also I'm not freaking out about the Tate Smith stuff, because this is not out of character for the team this year. They've purposely slowed it down. I don't know what the stat was. They're going to end up playing about a game's less snaps.
Yeah.
And it'd be one thing if they had no experience doing this. One coach has won the modern playoff, and he's our coach. So he would probably know how to handle that going forward. And I heard you and Bax talk about the Michigan game and lots of details of it. Unfortunately, all of those points held true last year as well. And the game was the most logic-defying experience, freezing cold bladder testing event I've ever attended. And I almost failed. So I need to see that. I'll admit I need to see them get through this. Now, it's a much different situation. They literally are in the playoff. I don't think there's anything that could happen that would change that.
Right.
Because if they did lose to Michigan, they wouldn't go to the championship game. They'd be with one. So I'm not worried about that. Let's just get our best effort out there. You know what I'm saying? Let's get a reasonable effort out there. Let's not fumble or turn it over in the first few possessions. I think that goes without saying, but there's no
saying that Steve's doing keg stands.
Well, I mean, is there a keg?
There's many up there in the press box right now. Why do you think Patrick was such in a hurry to get up? Do you think Pat was in a hurry to get up there because there weren't kegs? Like, that's why he was like sprinting to get there.
If it's an upside down keg stand, who would be holding Hellwagon? That might be a three-man weave there that would be needed.
Saraveld.
Yeah. They called him in. They're like, Austin, you're not playing the fourth quarter. Why is that? It's like, we need you to get ready for the soiree. It'll be.
We're going to actually need both Lakota guys, East and West. We're going to need Tegra and we're going to need Austin. All right, my friend. Any parting thoughts before I let you go?
I will echo the sentiments that came before. I hope the Elder Styles brother is healthy. We need all available to get after it. And I don't want to go on the record because I really don't know the answer to this. I'll say this. I expect Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith to play next weekend and dominate, because when they play, they dominate.
What do you make? I lied to you. The Carnell Tate conspiracy theory. I'm sure you hear. I hear it from my friends, family, people I don't know. people that I kind of know that I wish I didn't know. Everybody asked me, oh, Carnell Tate, is it like this? Is it that? Something. And it's not even injury. It's like conspiracy theory left and right. And I like a good conspiracy theory. You want to tell me then there was more than one shooter for JFK? I'm down with that. I think that totally happened. In fact, I think it might be more of a conspiracy if you think it was just Lee Harvey Oswald. But like that being aside, slight digression. But like, so I'm okay with a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but that's a bridge too far for me. From my sources, I'm hearing there's really nothing more to it. You're also hearing people thinking it's JSN. They have PTSD from JSN. And I've heard some other like crazy theories. What are you hearing about Carnell Tate, and what do you make of that?
The PTSD should be for the NFL executives that let JSN last till 20 based on a nagging injury. I've not heard anyone say anything about Carnell Tate that scares me. I will agree with you, though. I'll bet you got texts from people who don't like to text you, and they were like, what's up with Carnell and Jeremiah? Because I got two today from people who I know don't want to ask me, but they had to ask. So
I'm like, wait, who are you? I got a lot of those too. Like, do we know each other? Texts. How do you have my phone? Texts. But yes, from everybody.
Look, the funny one I hear is that, he started moving up in the mock drafts and shut it down. Sure. The NFL would love to hear that. That would not reflect on your. Let's not worry about it. Here's the other thing. I'm not going to say out loud what I really think about how good we are and whether those guys both play or not, but you know what I think. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to get aggregated or cut up, but let's just go in there and cut it loose and rely on the nexus of Caleb Downs and Matt Patricia to not allow the khakis to get anything rolling.
Thank you for hopping on, Mr. Rubin. I appreciate it. He's the best publisher in this damn land. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. We're going to try and have as many people on for next week's celebration show as possible. See if D Rubes can get on that as well. Take a few questions here, and we'll get out of here. Always good seeing Buck Rational down at the tailgate today. Well, always, not just today. We got Buck Rational Jr. in the chat, too. He says, my theory is that it's all psychological warfare against that team up north. I like the way you're thinking. The mental side of sports is so important. And I think everybody who is a massive sports fan knows that. But I think sometimes we might underrate it. I remember being, growing up, like playing sports, coaches would say like sports is 90% mental and 10% physical. I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, no, it's not. And like, I still don't think it's 90-10 necessarily. But man, the mental side of sports is super, super important. And if this is Ryan Day playing 3D chess, I'm good with it. All right, let's get to some questions and comments before we close up shop here. We have Golf Course Manager 33 on YouTube saying Marshall, the young man, the running back for Michigan, is messed up. One solid hit, he'll be out again. I tend to agree with that. I mean, he's better than I thought he'd be. And I know he was really good at Cincinnati Moeller. When Ohio State didn't get him and they got James Peoples, I was like, I'll take Peoples over Marshall. And maybe I still would. Jay Peeps is looking pretty good. Our closer, you bring Jay Peeps in the ninth inning, he'll close it out. I don't know that he might not get credit for the save. That might have been more than 3 runs that he was ahead when he entered the game. But you guys know what I'm saying? I mean, I really like James Peoples, and what a luxury to have James Peoples as your number 3 or number 4 tailback. But Marshall's better than what I thought he'd be. I didn't think that would be a big loss, and it's still not a big loss, but he's better than what I thought he'd be. Justice Haynes looked fantastic for Michigan. And then you had Marshall in there. I was like, geez, they got a really good 1-2 punch. Well, now Marshall is the one, right? I mean, they don't have Justice Haynes. He's out for the year. If you guys haven't heard, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know that. Justice Haynes is out next week. He's out for the rest of the year. He broke his ankle, had surgery. He's done. He's getting ready for the NFL draft. Marshall's very good. But I agree with Golf Course Manager 33. Like that, he banged his shoulder up big time. It wasn't like he just kind of like, tweaked it a little bit, and they did X-rays. He didn't break it. He didn't break it, which is why he's actually going to play next week. I don't think he's playing today. He's not playing today. Michigan's tied it up. It's 7-7. Michigan at Maryland. Maryland had an early touchdown. We're midway through the first quarter, 7-7 in College Park, Maryland. Yeah, he's not playing. And their third-string running back, who's now their second-string running back, who's their starting running back today, is a walk-on named Bryson Cudsdell. And I saw this kid last week, and I was like, geez, he's kind of slow. You know, I'm sure he's tough. He's a Michigan running back. I'm sure he's a tough kid. 5'11", 210, third-year guy, third-year sophomore. And again, I think Marshall's going to play, and he's been really good this year. But to your point, how effective will he be when he gets Arvell Reist? He is. He probably is one hit away. And I love how healthy Ohio State is entering this game. And that sounds crazy, right? When like everybody's worried about JJ and Carnell. I get it. But like all things considered, nobody on defense is banged up. You're not even worried about, well, Lorenzo Styles Jr. I keep forgetting about that. And forgive me if I think that's not a huge deal. I really like Zoe Jr. I really like him. But like you put Jermaine Matthews in the slot, put Devin Sanchez out at corner, along with David Igbinosun as the other outside corner. I don't know if that's a big drop-off, if a drop-off at all. I think Jermaine Matthews actually is better in the slot than Lorenzo Styles Jr. But then the question is, overall, is that a better? What about Devin Sanchez? Devin Sanchez played well today. I know there's been a couple penalties and whatever. I'll tell you what, for a true freshman, I think he's played really well, and he's going to be a stud here. So if that's the way they have to go next week, and Michigan doesn't have receivers that's going to like, it's not like you got to worry about, they've got like 4 good receivers. Their best receiver, and he is good, is a freshman. I mentioned him earlier, named Marsh, Marsh, number 4, Marsh, true freshman. He's good. He's good. Not a big guy, not tiny. He's like 6 foot, 190. Again, where's the number 4? He's good. He's their best receiver by a considerable margin. So it's not like you got to worry about anything. Igbinosun, Caleb Downs, the best safety in college football. I thought McLean's been playing well the last couple of weeks. I thought Jalen McLean was playing really good earlier in the year and has kind of had a little bit of a drop off, almost like a hitting the freshman wall, even though he's a sophomore, because he barely played last year on defense, mostly played on special teams. This is really his first year playing a lot on defense. Certainly his first year as a starter. And it's like, geez, is he hitting the freshman wall, even though he's a sophomore? And then you look at Jalen McLean, I think he's been playing really well these last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think overall Ohio State, I don't think you could ask for too much better than that. Butler Buck on YouTube says, sounds like Mylan Graham was suspended for cutting class or something. It must not have been anything major because he did play. That would make sense. The fact that, like, David Adolph starting wasn't a big surprise. I know they really like him, walk on. They've always talked him up. He's played every time we go out to practice. He's making plays. Not that we get to see practice that much, but like in the spring, early in camp, that's when we see practice. 82's making plays. It's senior day, so I didn't think that much of it. But then when we didn't really see Mylan Graham, I'm like, what's going on here? It might have been that sounds right to me. We'll check on that. Like a minor, like a disciplinary issue, nothing major where you're suspended for the game or anything. You did something really bad, but like you did something like maybe you were late to class or skipped class, something like that. Again, just posting your comment that you're hearing that. I have not heard anything, but we'll find that out. Oregon touchdown. They're about to go up 14-7 pending on USC. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. We'll find out. We'll let you guys know for sure on Bucknuts. By the way, on Bucknuts, you guys get a free Paramount Plus subscription with your Bucknuts subscriptions. You get Bucknuts, you get all the other boards on 24/7 Sports, and you get Paramount Plus all together, $9.99. I don't do a lot of promotional stuff. I should do more of it for the mothership, for Bucknuts. But my gosh, what a good deal. Just Bucknuts alone for $9.99 a month. Really good deal. It's like 30 cents a day. Then you get all the other 24/7 sports sites. And like next week, you're going to want to go onto the Michigan board and read like them like crying in their milk about what's going to happen. Steak and milk for Harbaugh. And then you get Paramount Plus on top of that for free. Let's go. All right, let's get one more here. Chris Madigan. I agree with this. Chris Madigan on YouTube is saying Caden Curry was 100% in, and not reviewing that was crazy. I agree. I thought that was a touchdown. Like, what are we doing here? Like, at least it should have been reviewed. Thank goodness they reviewed the one with Bo Jackson where I was like, oh my gosh, what a time to get a 15-yard penalty when you're at the 1-inch yard line, right? Like, never a good time to get a 15-yard penalty, right? When you're like at the 1-inch yard line to get a 15-yard penalty, that's just bad business. But they reviewed that. At least Ohio State got the touchdown there with Bo. And Bo Jackson looks great. He just looks great. He's not that he's like the best running back in college football. I would give that to Jeremiah Love for sure. But like for a true freshman, I love Bo Jackson. So at least he got that touchdown. And the Ohio State didn't have to be like 3rd and goal from the 16 or whatever it would have been. I'm with you, man. I thought that Caden Curry play, and both of his sacks were fantastic. That first one where he came in, he beat his man and just dragged him by the jersey. That was a hell of a great play by Caden Curry. It's a way to get your senior day started with your 8th sack on the season. Then you get your 9th sack on the season with a strip sack, fumble, and then it looked like it should have been a touchdown. I thought it was a touchdown. I guess he's saving that for the playoffs or maybe next week in Ann Arbor. All right, speaking of next week in Ann Arbor, we'll be with you right after that game. And I'm telling you, we've been doing podcasts for longer than we knew what podcasts, before podcasts were even podcasts. We called it internet radio. We were the first Ohio State podcast. What we called it, Front Row Radio. Front Row Radio is what we called it. And then we did Bucknuts Morning 5. That's right around the time people knew what podcasts were. That was about in 2012. We switched from Front Row Radio to Bucknuts Morning 5, and we knew what podcasts were by then. And then it was 2022. We started doing the Bucknuts, the post-game show, What We Learned Live. And my friends, I have yet to do a What We Learned Live following an Ohio State win over Michigan. Despite all of these wins this entire century, Ohio State dominating them this entire century, because we've only done this show since 2022. I have not done a What We Learned Live after an Ohio State win over Michigan. That will change next week. I will see you then. Thanks to all of my guests. Really appreciate them very much. Garrick Hodge, Matt Baxendell, Dan Rubin, Patrick Murphy. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you. Huge live audience. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much. I will see you next week after that win over Michigan. I know you're still basking. Go Bucks.